Nestled beneath the rolling hills of the Cotswolds lies the city of Gloucester, and from 1866 to 2003, home to the famous hydraulic engineering company Fielding and Platt. To commemorate the company's impending centenary in 1966, a film was commissioned but never completed. These short edited clips illustrate equipment manufactured by the company around the turn of the 19th century, much of which was still in operation at the time of filming in the 1960s. This film has been compiled by members of the Fielding and Platt Heritage Group from Company Film Records held at the Gloucester Archives. This first clip illustrates the Fielding and Platt swing bridge, commissioned in 1880, that was located above the lock that accesses the Gloucester docks from the River Severn. These views are taken from within the dock area, with the Severn in the background and the former prison to the right across the road. In addition to the normal road traffic, the bridge originally incorporated a standard gauge rail track that linked with other tracks throughout the dock area. The bridge was decommissioned in 1962 and replaced by a cantilever-type bridge without rail track that is still in operation today. In 1890, Adamant Stone, a company based in Aberdeen, purchased a 3-mould press, hydraulic accumulator and 2 sets of duplex pumps for the production of hydraulically pressed concrete paving slabs. Possibly the first of its type in the country, this press was still in operation at the time of filming. We can now take you through the operations and some of the features of the press. The operator on the right removes the finished press concrete slab using a vacuum crane, whilst the press operator on the left simultaneously fills the empty mould with a fresh supply of concrete. The 2 operators in the foreground stand ready to receive the slab onto a wooden pallet. One operator releases the vacuum and then both remove the pallet and slab to a stacking area. Now here is the whole process from another angle. Note the wheel and chain in the foreground A weight is attached to the end of the chain and used to reset the table. Note the automatic latch mechanism to accurately locate the table under the pressing head. And now a close-up of the wheel and chain powered by a single-acting hydraulic cylinder mounted on the other side of the press and used to rotate the table. And a close-up of the pallet stacking area and resupply of fresh pallets. Some views from the operator's side of the press, illustrating the filling and table rotation. With a rotation cylinder in the lower foreground. A weight-loaded accumulator, shown here, working in conjunction with the duplex water pump, provides the necessary force to power the press. Sadly, there are no illustrations of the duplex pump. And finally, some views of the adamant stone yard with stacked products ready for dispatch in the foreground, and transport to the rear. An early customer of hydraulic presses was the Linoleum Manufacturing Company, located at Staines, Middlesex, that in 1888 purchased a number of platen presses for the production of linoleum. These single daylight presses of approximately 1,000 tons force and 3-inch stroke were equipped with steam-heated platens that pressed and cured the product. These presses were still in operation at the time of filming in 1964. Each press required at least 2 operators We commence with the press producing a continuous reel of linoleum that is being hand wound onto a roller, and after pressing, as the camera pans sideways, note the 2 different colours of product on one of the presses. We now pan sideways again to a press that is producing individual products. Note the loose steel sheet that is removed prior to the removal of the finished item. And also note how flexible the material is even after pressing. All the presses are upstroking, and we now repeat the exercise of removal of the finished product from the press across a set of rollers. Following removal of the product, the bottom sheet is wiped clean and then sprayed with what is assumed to be a lubricant to prevent sticking. A fresh product is hand loaded onto the bottom plate. The top sheet is lowered and the whole assembly is pushed under the pressing head to repeat the exercise. The final views of this section illustrate the inspection process of some finished items. Turning next to views of a Fielding and Platt punch shear in operation. This machine was equipped with shear blades on one end of the machine that could shear up to 1 inch thick plate and a punch device on the other end for punching holes. As can be seen, this machine is being used to shear scrap in a railway yard, and it is possible that this was filmed at the Gloucester Railway Carriage and Wagon Works. This version is a mobile machine driven from a power takeoff from what looks very much like a Fordson tractor. An interesting point to make is that there are no catalogues uncovered so far that appear to include a mobile version of this machine. The earliest catalogue showing a punch shear is a 1915 catalogue illustrating a hydraulically operated version. As can be seen in this long-distance view, a variety of scrap is being sheared from thick plate to pipe. And now for some close-ups of the machine in operation. No sign of risk assessment or health and safety at work in this yard. And finally, the machine also has a feature for shearing angled sections. Very neat. Yet another belt-driven punch shear that has had a lick of paint, whilst our erstwhile photographer Brian Mince is applying the finishing touches. In this case, it can be seen that this is not a mobile machine as it is bolted to the floor. It is possible that this was also filmed at the Gloucester Railway Carriage and Wagon Works. These long-distance views show the operator cropping a long flat bar of steel into short lengths. Now taking a closer look from the opposite side of the machine. And even closer still. Moving to the other end of the machine, we can see the punching facility in operation. Here, the operator is punching square holes through a flat steel bar, and it seems he's having a bit of trouble extricating the bar after punching. Finally, we see a close-up of the hand-painted nameplate. Here is an excellent example of a working steam-driven 3-cylinder crank pumping engine. This engine was filmed at the Gloucester Railway Carriage and Wagon Works, and company records indicate that an engine was purchased in 1918. The wagon works had a variety of hydraulic machinery, and it is probable that this pump fed a centralised weight-loaded accumulator that provided power to all the presses. Now, a very short clip of a belt-driven planer. It's not known where this was filmed. And finally, a clip of an oil engine and generator filmed in the 1960s at Buckfastleigh, Devon. The first clip is of the owner entering the engine house, with apologies for the quality of some of the film. He then walks to the front of the engine and commences a starting procedure, and the engine fires up. We can see various views of the engine running and the belt drive to the generator at the rear of the room. Time now to lock up and go home. Your contributors were John Bancroft, John Davis and Brian Mince from the Fielding and Platt Heritage Group, and Paul Evans from the Gloucestershire Archives. Thank you for watching.